Welcome to the Living Well program. Thanks for letting us take your time. We hope it's worth it. If you have any questions, let us know. Are you going to stick around for the show? Okay. In case we can't answer the questions, we're going to defer. Okay. I'm Mike Flanagan. I'm the chef here, and this is Nick Webster. Nick is one of our chefs that came from Lincoln, and part of the next generation. And I used to work with his dad, and it's kind of nice. So I kind of know who he is. So anyway, where is everybody from? Here at the hospital or women's? Oh, okay, all over. Okay. What exactly? We're going to read through the recipe. Hopefully it does kind of excite you a little bit. And then if you want to carry it a little bit further, if you want to take it in another direction, just keep asking questions, okay? And then we can branch out, okay, on what we want to do. We chose this recipe because it's gluten-free. We're doing a little bit more gluten-free. We worked this out when we had National Nutrition Month, and that was like last month. So we worked with our dietitians. It was kind of nice for us because we got to see new products that I was not even aware of, and they were a little bit healthier. We had them develop recipes, so we used one of the recipes that Tiffany brought to us, Tiffany Henderson, which is our dietitians. So we kind of thought this was one of the better ones, and so this is what we're going to bring to you today. So we're going to just read through it, and that way you can tell me if my format makes sense, okay? I mean, I need another set of eyes here. It makes sense to me, but you tell me as we go along. Anyway, it's called a gluten-free chicken. We're using chicken instead of pork, and it was called an egg roll. Okay, so we're not using the wonton, we're just putting everything in a bowl or a plate. Okay, so we start out with 3 cloves of garlic that are minced, and that's easy to do if you just crush the garlic with a knife and press it down, and then just chop it up fine and saute it in a little garlic. That's your sauteed minced garlic. Then we've got a quarter teaspoon of ground ginger, and then we have a pinch of salt and pepper, 2 tablespoons of sriracha. Nick, what is sriracha?
Sriracha is just a fermented pepper sauce. So it's a classic Asian hot sauce, just made from fermented jalapenos with little to no seasonings. I mean, just a touch of garlic, pinch of salt, pinch of sugar. So it's super basic, but everyone loves it. I mean, honestly, I'd say most of you probably have seen it or have a bottle of it in your house.
Don't be afraid of it being too spicy, because we thin this down with a little bit of rice vinegar and other things without any sugar. So the carbs are good in this. Then we used 6 tablespoons of cocoa aminos. This was something the dietitians introduced to us as a soy substitute, and Nick looked it up, and it was something we were kind of not familiar with, but it's made from coconut sap. Okay.
There's specifically 2 different types of coconut aminos that you can buy. You have either the brewed kind or the raw kind. The raw kind is made from coconut tree sap, whereas the brewed kind, which is what this is, made from the coconut tree blossom nectar.
Oh,
and so it's brewed,
how about that?
And aged and then bottled. Both yielding about the same 14 amino acids. The only difference is the raw is slightly more beneficial than the brewed.
Okay, all right. Okay.
About half.
Half. Yeah, it's 1/2.
It does initially taste quite a bit sweeter on the palate, but it gives you the same savory umami flavor that you're looking for in soy. So it works altogether about the same, just doesn't give you quite the same amount of salt.
Okay, we've got the format down now. Okay, so what Nick was saying was that this is the brewed coconut aminos made from the nectar of a flower, and this is the one we're using now. It has a soy flavor, but it's definitely a coconut flavor, which is so much milder than the soy if you're not used to that. So then we cut all these spices with 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, which is very mild. We emulsified it. It's still kept together here because we put a little Dijon in there, and that keeps the acid and all the other spices and sauces together. And then the last thing we add is the olive oil and the sesame oil. And you have to be careful with the sesame oil because it is so pungent and that it can overpower some of the other components that we're putting in there. But this is the sauce that we're using on the chicken, and then we're tossing that. We're going to grill that, and we're also going to put it on top of our slaw. Okay, so we're going to have Nick go ahead and start on the chicken just so we can get that moving on us, and then the broccoli slaw you can buy anywhere. We like the color component of that and the vitamins that the broccoli slaw has in it. You can you can get it in any store. You can buy the cocoa aminos in most stores too. You don't have to go to Whole Foods to get a product like this, or the sriracha. We add a little bit of other cabbage to it. All we're going to do is mix our sauce to this, lay it in our carry-out, put the chicken on top of it, hit it with a little bit more sauce. We'll let you guys taste it, to see how much we're going to give you to take home. Maybe you won't like it. We hope you do. And then we'll put a little bit of sesame seeds on. If you don't want that, let us know, and some scallions. But if you're at home, just use a saute pan, cook it on each side 4 or 5 minutes. If you're unsure of the doneness, you got to bring it up to about 155, 165. You don't have a thermometer, just cut it and make sure it's not raw. Okay, that's what we do all the time too. So just cook it in a saute pan. It's easy. Once you got this, you can, if you want to put some sort of greens on there, you can. It's not going to add too many other calories or other nutritional value to the dish. But what we like about this is the low sodium content, the high protein with the chicken, low saturated fat, and of course low calories. So the calories on this dish is only 255, 11 gram fats, 14.8 grams of protein, 8 carbs, and 3.8 grams of fiber. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds good in the scheme of things. Now, if you want to take this in another direction and add things to it for more flavor, fruit is great with this. You're going to add some complex carbs to it, but I don't think with berries you're going to add too much. Avocados is one of those superfoods that is high in K, antioxidants, B vitamins. We're using more and more of that here than we have before because they're so nice. We can cut them in half, then cut them in quarters, slice them. It, they're just a nice product to use. Grapefruit. We did a grapefruit dish last month. I was surprised, and that was kind of a superfood that was high in fiber, antioxidants. I think the C vitamins that was big in, especially the red ruby grape. I know I always was kind of raised on grapefruit and beets. I didn't know what I was eating or why I was eating. I just told my parents that's what you got to eat. Now when we're re-looking at all these vegetables, I'm seeing really the value, nice food value in it. But you really have to, I would say, just eat small portions and eat what you like, you know, which is, if you can do that, you're doing better than I am. Because I've gained like 10, 15 pounds since I've been here. So if you do it in a saute pan, it's really not going to come out any different than this. These are 4-ounce raw chicken breasts, and did we toss them?
Yep.
Yep, we did toss them. You can see that just tossing it in this for 2 or 3 minutes, it does pick up quite a bit of flavor.
Just a couple tablespoons of the dressing on all these chicken breasts. I did maybe half a cup of the dressing in total.
We
a little bit goes a long way.
We marinate some of our chicken overnight. When we do that, it shrinks up, you know, and so the customers, like here, they may think that we're trying to not give them a full portion, but I really don't know why, but I would think that the liquid going into the meat muscle would expand it, but instead I think we're taking solution out of the product and introducing a marinade, and it tends to shrink it up a little bit. This keeps doing it this way, you're still picking up the flavor, which if you're going to do something, make it flavorful, and it's still keeping the shape and the
breast nice and juicy. When you marinate things overnight, you change the osmotic pressure of the meat itself. You actually pull water out of whatever meat you're marinating, and so it does shrink a bit. And that's why whenever if you brine something, you have to make sure that your osmotic pressure is really high, but you already know that it's going to shrink when you cook it. So you go with something that's really large if you're going to brine something. If you're just doing like chicken breasts, only marinate them for like 30 minutes before you do it. Otherwise, you're going to start pulling your water out of your chicken breast, and when you cook them to done, they'll actually get drier than you want. And so they won't be as juicy, instead they'll be dry.
And most of the chicken breasts, they say they're solution added, which is really kind of salt and water, okay, which is, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes not. So, okay, we're going to get that. We're going to slice these up. We're going to put the sauce on top of the slaw, and then we're going to serve it. So, any questions on what we've done so far? Say it again. Oh, of a cup. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, 3/4 of a cup. Yeah. Yeah, this was exact. So, obviously when I redid it, again, I forgot to put the C on there. Okay. I need a proofreader.
If you wanted a vegetarian option, what would that be?
A good vegetarian option, the same dressing and the same marinade also works just as good for tofu as well as for, why am I forgetting the name right now? You can do seitan as well. That's also a good option.
What is seitan?
Seitan is
seitan.
Gluten proteins. That's all it is. And so it is a good protein option, but I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ones in the market today.
We've done the tofu.
More and more every time you look. So
yeah, we've done the tofu. I still have to get used to that. What we found out is if we dust it in some spices, it helps. And then we saute it, that helps. It gives us a little bit of crispness. We've even fried it in a really nice oil, okay? No trans fat oil. That gave it a whole different texture. That was more palatable to me, okay? But if you're asking vegetables, put on any vegetables you want and cook them crisp. You know, just, you can take the leafy vegetables, bok choy, spinach, the cabbages, Napa.
snap peas are also wonderful, as well as broccoli.
edamame, yeah, the edamame beans.
Whatever you feel you want to get away with trying to add, not much is going to hurt it. It's a pretty level-headed dish.
Yeah, yeah. So you could, if for the different mouthfeel textures, just think of it this way: if we had this raw, okay, you added some different herbs or something to it, and then you saute just very lightly your vegetables, put that on top, so they're just kind of warm. That to me is a pleasing, different feel. Okay. So, any other questions? Okay. One of the most popular things we did here is we've used a flank in a couple salads, and so I hope I didn't disappoint you by coming up with this, but you can see you'll see the flavor that's imparted here from the chicken, and then you'll see what this sauce picks up, how well it does, and the combination of the two keeps it fresh, and the flavor of the chicken gives you the sustenance you need to complete the dish. We're supposed to bring it up to 165. As you see, when we do this, it's turning it a little bit charred, okay? That's good and bad. We're used to poking it with really pressing the fingers on the chicken and seeing how much spring we have in it.
We took a really old method, at least how it was taught to me. It might have been taught the same way to him. The way that you grade all of your meats when you cook them is, this is raw, this is rare, this is medium rare, this is medium well.
So you can see that this is going to be cooked all the way through at 165 because there's no spring in there, okay? If there's spring in it, that means that it's fleshy, it's not fully cooked, just the way when you're pressing on muscle or fat, there's spring in there. The same is true with a raw piece of chicken or a semi-cooked piece of chicken. So we carry thermometers all the time, but we lose them all day. So we kind of use a thermometer in the beginning, then press the meat, whether it's chicken or fish or beef. If there's spring in the meat, it's rare. If it's firm, it's cooked all the way through, as a rule of thumb. Nick, how we doing? Okay. Okay. And this is a nice thermometer. We usually do just little of the ones that just have a dial on it. Those are very inexpensive. The digital ones are more accurate. Don't have to be calibrated and what. Do you guys know? We have to calibrate them in water just because they go off. You know, so that's a mess. Yeah. Okay. See how much noise we have in here? Yeah. I don't even know why we have these noises. I haven't been able to get an answer yet. Yeah, I like the idea of sauces. That's where most of us years ago were raised on making sauces. When I started my career, it was working with a lot of Europeans, and we called ourselves sauciers, and that was the measure of how you enhanced your food. And today in Omaha, I can't find a place that does sauces, and what they call a sauce is really not a sauce. So we'll show you some old methods that are quick and friendly, and But to me, sauces are everything, and that's the way I was raised with the Europeans, and paved the way for these guys. I'll let you cut it.
We figured out all the shortcuts.
Yeah. Well, there's been food products now that have made it so much more easy for the consumer, so much more easy for everyday use, and we've taken some of those methods, some of those equipment, we've downsized them, put them in your kitchen, and it's made it a lot more fun for all of us, and that's why we're kind of interested in food.
Yeah, what these guys used to spend 12 hours doing with wine and chicken bones, you can now go buy
Yeah.
for like $5.
Yeah. Yeah, like we did for the VNA. Did any of you go to that? Visiting Nurse Association soup contest. Were you there? No. Okay. Anyway, we didn't win because we went so old school, taking lobster shells and we boiled and simmered, making a Vietnamese pho from Southeast Asia, and with a French influence, and putting quail eggs in there, and it was too much. Some of the judges, we thought we would capture the imagination of the judges, and we didn't. So one was cream soup, which was that's kind of where we're at today, and so that's the way we were raised traditionally, and I'm still influenced and still kind of there with my background.
He had an opportunity to respect me because he got to watch me spend 3 days making the same soup.
Yeah. So as I watched this evolve, it just became more complex. And then so what was interesting, the judges kept coming out and asking our chefs how they did it. And they took lobster and sous vide it, and when you do that, you cook it in a bag and very low temperature, and you keep the integrity of the meat and the lobster, and it was just over the top for the judges, and I think they never seen it and they missed it. Anyway, that's our explanation. Go ahead.
Decide which way to cut the chicken.
Well, he's cutting it away from his fingers, okay, which I think is the most important thing.
You always look at the grain of the meat, so anytime you look at a piece of meat, you can actually see which way the muscle tissue goes. And so you always cut across the grain, never with the grain. You cut with the grain, that's what makes meat tough.
Yeah,
Cut across the grain,
that's true. Having said that, with the chicken, it is going to be hard to figure that out here, okay? With roast beef, it is very easy to see this, yes, right. So you always want to cut across that. Oh, hold it up.
Oh, hold on, please.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, on this, even when you sear it, you can see like the striations. You can see the direction that the muscle tissue goes, because it's like strands that go across the meat.
Okay, so
So
yeah.
you guys can see it, like here, you see how all the curved lines that run across the top? That's the grain of the meat, so I'm going to cut across that.
You can see the grain here, so he's going to cut this way. Okay, now that's hard to pick up unless it's charred, But on larger cuts of meats, it's easy to see. I put some scallions, some toasted sesame seeds, and some red onion. Okay, so for our purposes, it's nice to garnish with green and seeds on top, or the fruit, but we're going to make sure that everything is incorporated okay for everybody here. So Nick, I'll let you toss here. Let you toss and see what we got.
And the biggest thing for us, especially when it comes to garnish, and why we always talk about color, is the one thing that we always hear again and again and again, and it's very true, is that people eat with their eyes. So if you look at something and you think it's appealing, you're going to spring for that first. But our other job is also to make sure that it tastes right.
So if anybody wants to try this, as they want to try this separately, it is strong, but once we put it on the vegetables, it's completely tamed. Okay, so yeah. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we put a little bit. We only put probably 3 tablespoons in there. That's all I know it's very, very overpowering. Yeah, so you have to be careful. Yes. This is great. It's very expensive. That's like $10 a bottle. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna take a picture of this and then put it on our food blog